Hey you guys, it's Lynnea for LDRS Creative, and I hope that you are not sick and tired of gatefold cards. I love to create gatefold cards because it uses the same amount of cardstock as a regular card does, but it is super fun to have that unexpected opening to the card. Rather than it just opening at the top or the sides, it opens from both sides and the flaps meet in the center. So I took a piece of cardstock, it's 8.5 by 5.5. And rather than scoring it at the 4.25 mark, I scored at 2 1/8 inches from both ends. And that's how you get this fun gatefold style card where there's two scores at each side and then you fold it in and they meet at the center. So I folded those flaps in to close off my card, and now I'm just going to use some washi tape and mask off some stripes on my card front. My tape is a 1/2 inch wide, and I'm going to tape off 1/2 inch stripes. So I'm going to have a 1/2 inch of white space, and then a 1/2 inch of color, and then a 1/2 inch of white space, and a 1/2 inch of color. And I'm just going to do that all the way up my cardstock front so that I have equal spacing, and I think I actually have 5 stripes that I'm going to add color to. I'll be using LDRS Creative Hybrid Mini Ink Cubes. Any ink will work here. I just love their vibrancy, and the Hybrid Mini Ink Cubes are what fit best in my craft room, but they do create the full-sized ink pads. I'm going to start off here with In Your Face Orange and a blending brush, and I'm just going to add some color. I used some wider tape just to mask off my other lines, because I didn't want to get color onto the other white spaces. I'm going to be alternating orange and yellow here, so I didn't want to mix my colors. So I'm just using these wider pieces of tape to mask off the other stripes. I'm adding heavy color to the outside and just kind of blending that in, lightening my hand as I come in towards the center of the card, because I want that center strip coming down the middle of the card to have that white highlight. I think it looks really cool that way, and it's a fun way to add some dimension without much effort. So I finished up with the orange, and this color is the lantern yellow, and I'm just doing the same thing again, using that wider tape to mask off the other stripes, coming in with a heavy hand at the outside and lightening my touch as I come into the middle, and that's going to create that white highlight in the middle going down the center of my card. And every time that I go to move on to a different stripe, I do use just a towel, a microfiber cloth, and I wipe off any excess ink that's sitting on top of that tape. Because I'm using tape, and because these are hybrid inks, so there's a little bit of a pigment ink in there, the ink tends to sit on top of the tape, and that towel just helps me keep my work surface clean and not get ink all over my fingers. I'm going to remove this tape, and I am so in love with these clean, crisp lines of color. This reminds me of candy corn. That was my inspiration for this background. I love how it turned out. But as I looked at it, I thought that it needed a little something more. So I'm actually going to take those same pieces of tape and reposition them just how I had them before. Now I'm going to take some black watercolor and a paintbrush and just add some little splashes of color over my ink blending, and I replaced my tape, because you're going to see on my finished project when I remove that tape, now all those black ink spatters are only on the ink blending, and I'm still going to have clean, crisp white stripes. So fun. But as I added color to, or the ink spatters onto my background, I had some bleeding through my cardstock, because this is just regular cardstock and I was adding water to it. So I needed to kind of make the inside pretty. I grabbed a couple of paper packs from LDRS Creative. I'm using Sweet Sensations, and that's where I'm getting that black checked pattern. The orange stripes are from Sweater Weather, and I just cut them down. So I have orange stripes on both of the inside flaps, so they're cut to 2 1/8 by 5.5 inches. And then I have the black checked piece at 4.25 by 5.5 inches, and that's going to go in the center of my card. And in the end, you'll see that I die cut a rectangle from the Scalloped Rectangles die set, just because that way there will be some place for me to write a message on the inside of my card. So let's start creating the little characters for my card. These are from the Halloween Hijinks stamp set. Such a cute stamp set. I love this little vampire boy. He is just adorable. So I stamped him as well as a little pumpkin and then the spider, because I think every time I use this stamp set, I think I stamp out that spider because he is just the cutest thing in the world to me. I'm going to use some alcohol markers just to color him in. Really easy coloring. I just use 2 color blending. Save for my black here, I'm using 3 colors of gray. When I color with alcohol markers and when I color black, I like to build up dark gray colors rather than coming in and just coloring a flat black color. I find that when you color in shades of gray and really build up those shadows, it looks more realistic than when I would just color with a black marker. So this coloring, like I said, is really simple, and once I'm done, I will use the coordinating hijinks dies to cut out all of these little characters. I cut a scalloped circle from some white cardstock using the Scalloped Circles die set, and that's where I'm going to adhere all of my characters. So I also stamped and white heat embossed a sentiment onto some black cardstock, and that's also from the Halloween Hijinks stamp set. And I'm going to add this scalloped circle to the front of my card. Now you want to pick a side when you're gluing this on. You can either glue the left onto the left or the right onto the right, but you do not want to add glue to both sides of this circle or you will completely close the card. So I chose just to add glue to the left side, and I also added some glitter to my little stamped and colored images. And that will finish this card. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you love this card as much as I do, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!